Leading the meditation again today, Tuesday. I think in the future, Jumper won't be doing any more of the leading meditations because he's got many other commitments. So then in this morning's meditation, again to start the session with a few minutes of breathing, and then we'll continue on with the main body of the meditation around the meditation on making offerings, and particularly from that perspective of making unowned offerings. So then to sit in a position which is comfortable but which is also conducive for focusing the mind. And then to use the breath, the first part of the meditation, using the breath to bring the mind into the present moment. If you already have a method, then to use that. Otherwise, one method is to observe the sensation of the air passing in through the nostrils and passing out. And as best as possible to remain focused on the experience of the sensation of the air coming in and coming out again. And have that alertness of mind that when the distractions arise, that you're able to note these and not to get caught up in the story. And those distractions are like thoughts arising, various different types of thoughts and sounds that may be occurring both within the room that you're in and outside. And just to note these, to be aware of their arising and not to get caught up, not start to think about them or whatever. And make the intention to bring the mind back to the breath. So we're not doing this practice for very long, and it's worthwhile to try to put effort into doing it. Because if we're able to remain, if we're able to stop ourselves from being drawn away and to keep the mind focused in the present moment, then we're best placed with that quality of mind to engage in the meditation practice and the teaching session. So then to place the awareness on the experience of the sensation of the air coming in and passing out. And continuing in this way for the first part of this meditation session. So then to engage in the main part of the meditation on this offering practice. And as been said in the text, then to make offerings in order to induce the mind of bodhicitta, in order for the mind of bodhicitta to arise, to create the causes for the mind of bodhicitta to arise. And the more that we're able to develop at least a similitude to this mind of bodhicitta, that aspiration to attain a perfect state of wisdom and compassion, in order to accomplish the benefit of all beings, the more we're able to develop a similitude to it, then the more we're able to accomplish our own benefit. And of course, not only our own benefit, but the benefit of others. So by doing this, to creating the cause to develop the mind of bodhicitta, we are making best use of our human life. So in order to engage in this practice, offering practice, then we invoke merit field, those to whom we make these offerings. In different ways this can be done, but recalling to mind Buddha Shakyamuni, the founder of this doctrine of Buddhism, who sacrificed life many times over in order to attain a perfect state of enlightenment, and then brought the doctrine of Buddhism into the world. That medicine which has been existing in the world for the last 2,500 years, the founder of the doctrine, Buddha Shakyamuni. And then if you have some sort of sense or understanding of relationship between Maitreya and Asanga, and how it was through Asanga that this lineage of vast deeds of the Buddha was revived in the world. And then also the relationship between Manjushri and Nagarjuna, and how the teachings of profound view very much maintained and revived in the world. And to visualize these before you, these beings. Visualizing means not with the eyes, but with the mind. And if you also have some sort of sense of the origin of how Buddhism spread from India into Tibet and came down to Lama Tsongkhapa, and then through the lineage of the Dalai Lama to the present Dalai Lama, and then to, we say, Lama Yeshe, Lama Zopa, and the establishment of FPMT in this center here. And then to visualize also before you, recall to mind all those beings who've imparted the knowledge to you, even as they say, even the person who taught you the alphabet. to recall them to mind. But particularly those people who have more, as they formally taught us, the Dharma, and particularly those who we maybe have a personal relationship with a teacher, a Lama. And given that we've had the good fortune of connecting with these beings, and through these beings the life becomes profoundly meaningful, then reasonable, very logical to express gratitude by making offerings to them. And here in this session, just to make the offerings, unowned offerings, using as a basis the 8 offerings that we normally make: the water for drinking, water for washing, flowers, incense, light, perfume, food, and music. So here, creatively using your imagination, for the first of these offerings, the offering of water for drinking, and certain things may come to your mind, like, for instance, the crystal clear water in mountain streams. That actually that water is so clear and pure to drink. And along the edges of those small streams are often plants which help to filter that water, to purify it, to make it exquisitely pure, uncontaminated. So just as you would take it in your hands and then put it in your mouth, knowing that it is has this pure quality to it, that it is like medicine, perfect thing for the body. Then to appropriately offer this drinking water, may it be that all the holy beings may partake of this pure drinking water. And remembering the purpose of the offering is not so much that they need this. It's more that our mind needs to be developed. We need to develop this capacity to be able to offer freely. And then water for washing. For cleaning. And you can think also, we think here perhaps of the water, that natural spring water. That has certain minerals in it. And how appropriate this is for healing or for cleansing the body. Cleansing and healing the body as you bathe in that water. That water which is a perfect balance with the elements. So when you bathe in it, it brings about healing to the body. So may all the holy beings, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have the enjoyment of this. You could even imagine that you were to, if as a teacher, to direct them, to, if you knew of such a place, to take them to that place. And then the offering of flowers. So at certain times of the year, if you walk through a forest, here even in Australia or anywhere in Australia, walk through a forest, if you're if you're watching, you're taking care, looking at the plants, there are some exquisite looking flowers. Some of them very small orchids. But if you get down and look at it, those flowers are perfect in shape, beautiful colors. And then there are other flowers that form on vines in the forest. And here in Queensland in wintertime, actually, there are quite a lot of flowers that come out in the wintertime. And the native plants, the bottlebrush, callistemon, and grevillea, again, if you look at those flowers, they're really quite beautiful. And also, as you offer them, as you see these flowers, you sense, if you come back to that place one day after the next, you see how the flower develops. And you sense from that point of view how it's dependent arising. So you can use your knowledge, your wisdom that understands that things arise in dependence upon cause and effect. And nothing exists independently. It's arising in dependence upon the soil and the rain and the sunshine. One moment of the flower next to leads to the next moment of the flower. So you can use that wisdom that when that object, instead of becoming an object of attachment you're clinging to, that object that you're perceiving then becomes the basis for developing the wisdom which counteracts the attachment mind. So the more you imagine and visualize in the mind the flowers that you're offering, and you understand how they're changing from moment to moment, then the more that there's that offering becomes an offering which is based on wisdom. So wherever you go, if you walk through these forests or different places in Australia, look beside the pathway, different times of the year, many beautiful little flowers that can be offered. And then there's the offering of light. And so these days there's so many lights that are offered. There's fireworks, and you see lights that are different changing colours, like this. You make offerings of the sunlight, filtered through trees, or light coming from the moon. Or light coming from candles. And we can use the awareness of that, the symbolism of the light, how light dispels darkness. Every time we see light, it reminds us how wisdom dispels ignorance. Oh, yes. And then incense also. To make offering of incense, many different beautifully scented incenses. And also offerings of perfume. You can make it from a point of view of the different scents that come from different types of plants, and flowers and the plants themselves have perfumes to them. In the smell of eucalyptus, or the smell of lemon-scented gum. These natural, it can be natural, unowned offerings. And offering of food, you can think of the natural food that's existing, the food that the Aboriginals depended upon in the land. They had connection with native plants and knowing those things which were not just nutritious but were like medicine. Of fruit trees that grow wild. And then offering of music. Even if you go into the country and you sit beside a stream that's running over rocks, and you create quietness in your mind, you listen to the sound of the water over the rocks, and then you tune into the sound of the birds and the insects. All of this can become like music. All that which is natural and unowned. So then, just in conclusion now, that also we can make these transcendental offerings, special offerings, and they include the offerings of Dharma practice, in that as we engage in the study of this text, our ability to apply ourselves to study this becomes an offering of Dharma. And then there's the offering of bodhicitta, the very fact that we are engaging in reflection on the subject of bodhicitta the more that we develop this mind that just, the mind of bodhicitta or similitude to the mind of bodhicitta, that becomes an offering to the Buddhas. That's exactly what they want us to do, to develop the mind of bodhicitta. So that us here in listening, tuning into the teachings becomes the opportunity for us to make that offering of Dharma and the offering of bodhicitta. And so then from meditating in this way on making offerings, may it be that our mind is best prepared to deepen our understanding so that we can develop the awakening mind of bodhicitta. So then, okay. So then thank you